Good afternoon, YouTube. My name is Paul Haney, and this is the Woods Walker School of Self-Reliance channel. Today I wanted to shoot a video on my pig. These are Vietnamese pot-bellied pigs, and for a small homesteading operation, these pigs are great. They don't take up a whole lot of room. They work really well on the farm. You can see them fighting over the food. I just put them a little bit out here so they can stay here next to the camera. But they don't take up a whole lot of room, but they do a lot of work around the farm around here. Here in a minute, I'm going to show you how they've worked on this garden behind me. This was a new garden that I started last year. Had a lot of weeds and a lot of blackberry brambles in it, and a lot of things like that. And then there was a lot of red clay. So they really helped my garden out by rooting it up and digging up a lot of the weeds and the grass that was in there, and they eat the roots off that so it doesn't come back. They even root up the blackberry brambles. It was great. And they manure the garden to add nitrogen back into the soil because a lot of it was just red clay. Hey Daisy. This is our sow, Daisy, here. She's very friendly. They're having a feeding frenzy right now, so I'll tell you what, we're gonna let them eat. I'm gonna move over here into the garden and we'll explain more about them here in a minute. So this is the soil in my garden here. See if I can pan around here a little bit. You can see still a lot of rock in here. Those aren't real big rocks, those are small rocks. Come back to this side here. Now they've done a great job working on this garden. You can see right in here, there's still a little bit of green grass starting to come back up, but we're getting ready to take care of that, and I'm going to show you how we take care of that. That's that little box right there. That was my farrowing pen that I had them in, just to so whenever Daisy gave birth to the piglets, gave her a place to go and get out of the weather and keep the piglets safe also and keep them warm. But you can see all the way down the garden down through there. You don't see a whole lot of weeds in this garden. I mean, if you look here on the outside of the fence row, you can see how much grass and weeds are out there. That's exactly the way this garden was last year. So they've done a great job of getting rid of all the grass and weeds and blackberry brambles and everything else out of this garden. They've really done a lot of work here. And I'm going to show you here in a little bit a huge advantage to having pigs if you have a small homestead and the work that they do. I'm going to show you here in just a little bit. But right now what I want to do, you can see right down through the middle of here, there's a path. It goes all the way down. That little pile of straw right there, that's where they bedded at during the winter time. I had a little camper cover there they bedded under. But that path goes all the way down and back out there to where my truck is at. And I want to get them back in here and root this up. But what I'm going to do is, I have a tamper. I'll tell you what, let me readjust this camera and I'll show you exactly what I'm talking. Alright guys, so I've got a tamper here, and what this was my grandfather's tamper. And a long time ago they used to get the axles out of a dump truck or a real heavy truck. You'd get the axles out of there and sharpen one end of it to make like a little spade, and then take the other end as a tamper to tamp down fence posts and whatnot. But what I'm going to use it for is it's going to make holes in the ground, and what we're going to do is we're going to put corn in these holes and then just kind of cover it up just a little bit. We really don't have to cover it up much, but cover it up a little bit, and what that'll do is the pigs will come back in here and they'll smell that corn in the ground, and they'll go to rooting to get that corn out, and by doing that they're really going to work this garden up good. So all I'm going to do is make a little hole right there, just kind of go around. See, there's some little ferns coming up over here. I don't want those in the garden. I want them rooted out. So I'm going to go around and put these holes in the ground, and then I'm going to come back and pour just a little bit of whole kernel corn into the hole, and then just cover it up just a little bit, and turn the pigs back in here and let them go to work. So I'm going to get busy doing that. And I'll get right back with you. They're going to come in. They're already making their way in here, but they're going to come in here and they're going to eat this corn. I won't feed them this evening because I want them to get in here and root and grub for this corn. So they'll root up this ground really well. So that's one of the huge advantages to having a pig in a small homesteading environment, or a small homesteading farm, is that they do great work. They till up the ground really well, and they manure the ground really well, and they get it ready for planting. They get rid of a lot of the weeds. Like I said before, you can see all along the sides of the fence line here how the weeds are. This garden was exactly like that last year, but because I had the pigs in here after I got my garden out last year, I put them in here to clean up all the garden scrap and to get the garden ready for this year. And I left them in here through the winter time. They did a great job of getting rid of all that excess weeds and stuff that I didn't want in here. So that's one of the advantages. The other advantage is, they make great pets, and it doesn't matter if it's a small pot-bellied pig like this or if it's a large pig. They're easily trained, and they make really good pets, and they kind of grow on you after a while, and they're very easy to tame. So they make really great, reliable pets. Another great thing about hogs is the offspring that they have. If you really want to, you can breed them 3 times a year, and they can have litters anywhere from 6 to 12 piglets. That's a lot of meat for a homestead. And a lot of people look at these pot-bellied pigs and they say, "Oh, it's cute. I don't want to kill it because it's a small pig." It's still a pig. However you look at it, it's pork either way. As a matter of fact, this pig is closest related to the wild pig that's in Europe and Asia. If you look at these, especially her and the boar, he's not over here right now. He's out somewhere roaming around in the woods. But if you look at her, how the hair is on the back of her neck and everything, these pigs are as close to a landrace pig as what you can get. I'm going to take you outside. I'm going to show you the rocks that they have got now. If you live anywhere in the mountains where you have a lot of rock and things like that, these pigs do a great job of rooting this rock up and turning it up to the top of the ground, because they're trying to get the bugs and the worms and everything that's underneath those rocks. So they'll root them up and turn them up out of the ground for you. So I'm going to take and reposition the camera over here and walk with a little bit and show you what they've done so far this past month. So I'm going to walk through here and just kind of show you all these rocks that you see through here, all around that wood right there, even down through there. Probably, I would say 90 to 95% of these rocks come out of my garden. Every day, whenever I would come up here to feed the pigs, every day I'd come up here to feed the pigs, they'd have more rocks rooted up and laying on top of the ground. So I just simply take and just toss them out of the garden. Every day I come up here, just put my gloves on and just toss the rocks out. And they've done a great job of rooting these rocks out and helping me get them out of the garden. So now when I go to till the soil, it's going to be a lot easier to get the soil tilled up, and it won't be as hard on my tiller and everything. As a matter of fact, when they finish rooting this garden up, after they finish rooting this up, probably I may not even have to till it. They may till it up well enough that I don't even have to go back and till it. I may just be able to bed it up and plant it. So that's one other huge advantage. So because these pigs are able to dig so well, and they work really well at rooting the ground up, another benefit of them is if you've got a large stump or a large rock that you need removed and it's buried in the ground, especially a big stump. If you do the same thing I just did here in the garden and put some holes in the ground around that stump and pour some corn down in there, or for that matter, grain or anything that they can smell that's really strong, they're going to dig it up. They'll root all around it, and they'll root until they get every piece of that corn out. So if it's a stump that's stuck in the ground, they'll root all around it and dig that stump completely up. And the deeper they root, the further that corn falls down in there, so the more they got to work to get it. So they'll continue rooting until they get the whole entire stump or rock, whatever it is, they'll root it completely out. All right, so let's talk about one of the disadvantages of owning a pot-bellied pig, or any pig for that matter. One thing is that you've got to have the land to keep them on. You've got to have a big enough area to keep them on. I've kept them in this garden, like I say, throughout the winter. And this garden is probably about 50 yards long by, I'd say, about 20 yards wide. And it was plenty for them through the winter, but as you can see, there's no shade on this garden. It gets sunlight, direct sunlight all day, so this is not the best place to keep them during the summertime. So what I did is back here in the woodlands, I fenced off about an acre of land for them to run on, and they can root and free range on this acre of land. There's plenty of acorns and roots and stuff and grass. They love grass. A lot of people don't really think about that, but pigs are omnivores, so they can eat about anything. And snakes. This mountainside, unfortunately, we have our fair share of snakes up here. So, and pigs are great for killing snakes and eating snakes, so they'll get rid of those. So they have a lot of advantages. Another disadvantage, though, is another disadvantage is the amount of feed that they take. If you don't have them out free ranging where they're able to get plenty of range from out on the in the pasture, then you've got to feed them. And these pigs eat nearly as much as a regular hog would. So they're great for a small homestead if you don't have a lot of land to keep them on, and if you want an animal that's really easy to control and docile, they're great for that. But if you've got the land, I think you're better off investing in just a regular size hog, and which is probably what we'll do next year. Is we'll invest in a regular size hog, because all these hogs, every one of them except for one, we're probably going to keep one because Misty's grown so attached to her. She's a great little pet, so we're probably going to keep one of them, but the rest of them we'll go ahead and we'll slaughter them for meat, and then we'll get some regular feeder hogs this spring.